Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, who came to us in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. And I bear witness that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is indeed thine exalted Christ. I furthermore indeed bear witness that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is our divine reminder, leader, teacher, and guide, the Messiah of the day. I greet you all in the nation greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum. All praises are due to Allah. On behalf of Brother Albert Muhammad and the Let Us Make Man family, as always, family, we continuously thank you for your support. We thank you for taking a few moments of your time to watch the videos, read our posts, the supporting of our cause, our efforts in the plight of the Black community. We can never thank you enough. Once again, we are honored and pleased to have those who either chime in or tap in and take the initiative to hear us out on this beautiful topic that we're about to engage in. In reality, we're going into part two, so we're just gonna basically pick up off of part one. Is there human life on Mars, as taught to us by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad? And our spiritual father, the Messiah today, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And again, family, I'm honored and blessed to have my beloved sister, the wife of my beloved big brother, Lionel Muhammad, sister Melissa Muhammad.
Okay.
Praise be to Allah. I always chop her name up, but I'm bad with it until I get used to it. Our sister is a beautiful, strong black woman, mighty MGT, a part of the GCC class, and she's here again. And this time, inshallah, we won't have too many disruptions as far as sounds and things of that nature. But this is a very serious subject in regards to the 9 planets that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad has taught us about, that God Himself, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, raised and taught the most honorable Elijah Muhammad about what we are not only about to get in, but the resurrection of the lost found Muslims in the wilderness of North America, the black man and the black woman. I, your little brother Albert Muhammad, many of those who have been walking with me for quite some time on the Let Us Make Man program, we're going on our 13 to 14 year. And this program, literally, for the newcomers who might be listening, it literally started out as a simple conference call where myself and some Christian brothers and sisters, some everybody who wanted to be a part of the conversation, we created this via a phone conference to deal with the plight of the black community. At that time, it was Youngstown, Ohio, and what we could do to address the issues in the community. Talking on the internet is one thing, but when you put boots on the ground, that's a whole different diameter. So that's how this whole Let Us Make Man thing really generated. And so I took it from there, and we here now on social media again with my big sister. Um is that Doctor? Good God Almighty. Dr. Militia. Now you know when you're talking to a doctor, because them doctors got that look about themselves, and you better be right when you're talking to them doctors. So I do apologize. I just noticed that the DR, that is very significant because it tells you how much work this sister has already put in and is still putting in our nation, in the communities that we have or she's around XYZ. So I'm not gonna belabor the point. I'm gonna do the honor and bring our sister on so she can introduce herself. And Sister Dr. Melisha Muhammad, the floor is yours, family.
Assalamu alaikum. I would like to open up in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. I bear witness that Allah did appear in the person of Master Prophet Muhammad, and I also believe that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is our exalted Christ, and I believe that the Honorable Minister Farrakhan is indeed our present day Messiah. And all three of those great divine names, I would like to greet my brothers, my sisters, my family, my friends, and the nation's greetings of peace and paradise. Assalamu alaikum. Brother Albert, I want to show the gratitude of you allow me to speak again on your show. I'm very humble. I'm very grateful, and I'm going to do my best to share some of the information that Allah has blessed me with. As far as the doctor title, don't be deceived by the title. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm what you call a naturopathic doctor, and you are just as a doctor as much as a doctor as I am, because when you get into the word doctor, a doctor just means an educator. So before doctors were actually doing physical body healing, they were doing spiritual healing. So you're just as much as a doctor as I am. Okay. And those are out
Alhamdulillah.
there who are real, true spiritual healers, teachers of the words, the word of God. But just to go into a little bit of my background, I'm a student. I'm a student, an elementary student of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I'm native to the Nation of Islam, meaning that I I was born in the Nation of Islam, basically, and I'm a student. So I'm just here just to share some information with us to help us just be able to think a little more advanced regarding who we are
Go ahead.
as a nation of people, and to also expand the consciousness other than black, if you understand what I'm saying. So I just want to start with the question: is there human life on Mars? So I said I wanted to just dissect it, just cover three areas of it. First of all, I wanted to start with the first person who ever was introduced with the concept or the reality of there being life on all of the planets. But according to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he taught us that there are life, there's life on all of the planets, but he
That's right.
specifically talked about human life on Mars and Venus. But today we're going to talk about Mars specifically. Why Mars? He spoke more about Mars, more so than he did Venus. So after we go into after I share the information, maybe it would give us a better understanding why he spoke a little more about Mars than Venus. Now, NASA has been interested in Mars since 1964, as far as the research I have gathered. It may have been sooner, but in such a way, I think it might have been the either the Mariner or the Viking. I think it was the Mariner. I think that they just sent like satellites to take pictures of Mars because they thought that it was just a star, But once they sent the Mariner to just to take pictures, so it kind of like increased their curiosity of I want to know more. So they started making these little devices called rovers. And basically, what a rover is like some type of mechanical car, and it's around about 2 tons. And it's very interesting because it's like a traveling chemical lab. It's like a traveling, it has equipment that it can go into the earth and excavate and things like that. It can actually create an environment of oxygen that's breathable for 10 minutes. It also has infrared sensors, it has panoramic cameras. It's very highly sophisticated. So, starting from the marina all the way up to 2024,
Go
which
ahead.
they're going into uh, 2030, as far as bringing back all this vast information, supporting that there is actual life on Mars, but they're
Mm.
doing that, not being too truthful about it, because they're talking about it in a way that it was a lost or destroyed civilization. They talk about it being microorganisms, living microorganisms on the planet Mars. However, um, there's two sides of the equation, and I put it this way because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that there's not only life on Mars, but he taught us that it's human life on Mars. And he says that he was taught by Almighty God Allah that there are human beings in the form of humanoids, meaning that they are beings that have civilization. Okay, there are markings on Mars that supports that they are human beings and they have civilization. I mean, excuse me, civilization. He gave us a brief description on what they look like. He said that they walk on 2 feet. He said they have a civilization. He said that they're not as intelligent as we are, but they are superior to us. Actually, he said that we are their superiors because the gods, going back trillions of years ago, because Mars is, keep in mind, Mars is just as old as planet Earth. It's just as old. But we know that according to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that Earth is the Godhead tribe. It's the home of the gods. All the other planets are considered inferior to us. But he also talked about, and this is a question that I wanted to address. um, he went into how these human beings, they live 1,200 of our Earth years. So I just want to clear it up. It doesn't mean that they live 1,200 years. They live 1,200 of our Earth years, according to the
Mm.
teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, taught to him by God. And how do
That's
we
right.
come up with that 1,200 Earth years?
Go
You
ahead.
have to understand something about how Mars actually travel around the sun and
Mm.
its relationship to the Earth, because
Go ahead.
Mars has always been our satellite. And so Mars is 143, excuse me, 142 miles away from the sun. Earth
Mm.
is 93 million miles from the sun. So it doesn't only travel at a slower rate, because we got to deal with the mass and the volume and things like that that affects how um 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 fast or how slow it travels at a slower rate than Earth. So Earth, it takes Earth 1 year, 1 year to travel around the sun, a little over 365 days. When you calculate it more precisely, Mars takes 687 days to actually make a full revolution around the sun. So when you compare the days, Earth, excuse me, Mars is 1.88. It
Mm.
takes Mars 1.88 days to travel around the sun. Okay. So when you compare the ratio, it's a 2 day to 1 day ratio. So if they live 1,200 of our Earth years, that means that we would have to divide 1.8 times 1,200 to get the actual amount of Martian years that they live. And when you do that calculation, you do it correctly, they live 638.13 year Martian years. But that's significant. That's
Mm.
significant because we don't even make it to 100 years.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
you have some people that live a little over 100 years. You have some people that even live on record rarely to be in their early 200s. There's people on this planet right now that's living into their 200s. But when you compare the lifespan to Mars, you're really not living at all. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talked about why they live the length that they live, the longer years they live, because they are superior in such a way that they're living according to the nature in which they're created. They're taught to be satisfied with the nature that we gave them. And the reason why this is so important, like why are we even talking about this subject?
Go ahead. Go
Because
ahead.
for a very, very, very long time, depending on the how can I say, the dispersity over the planet, that we as a people, we have been put to sleep. Okay, we have been put to sleep totally on who we are. So when God came, he came to give us a student enrollment, supreme wisdom to actually teach us who we are, not just on an earthly plane, but a divine universal plane. So he taught us that we are direct descendants to the first God who created himself
That's right.
out of total triple darkness, and that's where we get our triple darkness from. So out of all of this, he also mentioned that we created or we made the people on Mars. There were
Mm.
gods, our fathers, who made these people on Mars.
That's right. That's
So
right.
when he talks about the first question and answer in student enrollment, and this is really important. This is goes to why we even getting into this subject here. Um, who is the original man?
Mm.
First man, self-created, out of total triple darkness. The answer, the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth,
That's
God
right.
of the universe. Okay,
That's
so
right.
what did you make? What did you make? What did we
Mm.
make?
Come on.
He
Go
said we
ahead.
are gods of the universe.
Go ahead.
What do we make? So that means that we created everything in the
That's right.
universe. If there's planets, we made them. If it's life on the planet, life on these planets, we made them. If it's people on the planets, we made them. So this is the reason why, because just having knowledge on an earthly plane is not enough. It's not enough because that's just giving you a peek into the heavens on one plane. But
Mm.
we was given a universal supreme knowledge. So just knowing that, okay, we are the Godhead planet, this, that, or the other, it's just not enough. So we have to understand that there has always been a relationship between the Godhead planet and the other planets out there, whether it can be life on it as far as microorganisms or humanoid life. Now, what is supporting evidence that there is life on Mars? Well, there's
Go
plenty of
ahead.
supporting evidence that there's life on Mars, and not only just life on Mars, and as far as microorganisms, but what type of artifacts were actually found on Mars that these rovers actually were able to capture and send back tons and tons of information, and gigabytes forms, that they have over like nearly 1,000 scientific articles to support what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, although they will not give the full spectrum. We can't
Mhm.
expect for them to give the full spectrum.
That's right.
It's a similar situation. Did they give the full spectrum about the black guys on the moon? No, they were never going to do that. So we don't expect that. So let's go into a little bit information about the life signs markings on Mars. Let's just do a comparison and contrast on the similarities and the differences on Mars. Okay, what are some of the things that these rovers found? Let's just deal with the atmosphere on Mars. Mars atmosphere, and also we're going to go into the undertones of why we can't inhabit it. Although we created this planet and we made these people, and they are part of our offshoot of our DNA, because the way that I see it, they are our children, they are our offspring. So the thing is that just because they came from our genetic makeup doesn't mean that we can go live on that planet, because we were not made from the same rearrangement of the elements. Say for instance, like on Mars, we know that when we breathe in oxygen, right? and we give off CO2. But we know if we breathe in the CO2, that's going to poison our systems. Why? Because we were created to breathe in nitrogen, 78% nitrogen, maybe 21% and some change of oxygen. Well, it's the opposite on Mars. Mars' atmosphere is made up
Mm.
of carbon dioxide and a very
Teach on
small
that.
amount
Go ahead.
of
Go ahead.
oxygen and a
That's
little bit
right.
of nitrogen. So
That's
that
right.
means that
Mm.
although that they are part of us, all they came from our genetic makeup, which I believe was from some type of stem cell embryology. Um, when we made them, our lung capacity or the anatomy of our lungs are not the same. He said we look similar, okay, but we don't have the same genetic makeup, so therefore we cannot breathe the same air. Now, another thing that we have on our Earth that's found on Mars is what we call methane gas. Methane gas, the atmosphere on Earth makes 93.5% of methane gas is coming from cows or coming from the bottom of the oceans, is coming from volcano eruptions from different parts. A small percentage of that is found on Mars. Another thing that we look at, as far as for those who are familiar with the periodic table, that's a table of elements that makes up every living thing or person in the universe. They have something they found, what they call triamite, silicone. Silicone is necessary to support all forms of life. They found what they call boron. Boron is very important because boron supports a certain type of sugar that's found in RNA. And some of us may know that you cannot make DNA without RNA. So we know that that has a lot to do with biological life. Another thing that they found on Mars, they have iron, calcium, magnesium. We talked about the nitrogen and hydrogen, lithium, sodium, and these are also very important elements that support organic life. They also
Mm.
found rocks that's similar on Mars to Earth. They also found water, H2O, on Mars in the form of polar caps on the North Pole and South Pole. But more importantly, they found a lot of artifacts on Mars that's very similar to what's
Mm.
on Earth.
That's right.
Now, what's so fascinating is that they have documented that the Kemites or the Egyptians had some type of contact with the people on Mars.
That's right.
I can't go into it right now because it's a lot of overwhelming information, and you would probably have to go and do the research on your own anyway. So they found that on Mars, because just think about these rovers, Perseverance, Curiosity, and Ingenuity are the ones that they have on Mars now. So they're expecting for them to send back information after they do all this the exploration and things like that, gathering scientific data to return in the year of 2030. But up to this point, they have actually found um, how can I say tetrahedral pyramids on Mars next to the
Mm.
city of Sardonia, where that so-called mask is the mask of a face being there. But
Mm-hmm.
they have found something in the area of Mars called the city, and it's pretty interesting because they're just not pyramids. Okay, these pyramids are aligned with the same type of pyramids that's found on Earth and certain type of ancient villages,
Go
and
ahead.
they're lined up with the star constellation. And it's these the apexes of these pyramids that's found on Mars is lined up with it's called the Pleiades, and the Pleiades is something that is very very closely linked to the belt of Orion. And if you find it's important because if you go to certain parts of Egypt, you'll find that these same pyramids are lined up the same way they're found in Egypt. Another thing that have been found on Mars is that these effigies. And for those who don't know what an effigy is just a carving of a
Mm.
human body, a face
Come
of a
on.
human body,
Come
or
on.
just a face.
Good
Another
teaching.
thing that they found was the what do you call it? The sarcophagus. That's the Egyptian tombstone. They found that there. They also found headstones that's also lined up the same way they found in like the ancient cities like the Incas Valley regions, certain parts of Mexico, certain parts of Egypt. They also found a Buddha statue.
Mm.
They also found a picture of a cross. And you can actually see these images. I'm going to put just one overwhelming video of these scientists who were able to figure out that certain parts of the actual footage of these rovers on Mars were a little bit distorted, and they was wondering why. But they saw that it had some type of morphology. But only thing that they noticed that certain of these images were purposely distorted. So what they did, only thing they had to do was go in and just undistort it, or just give it some more contrast to it. And what they found a head stone of a face of a man that had broad lips, broad nose, something of a black man.
That's right.
Okay, but his head was like cone shaped, like in the back. You know, see, all of this data supports what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is saying.
Mm.
And the thing is that we have to understand our relationship to all of this.
That's
What is
right.
our relationship to all of this? Because if they finding all these artifacts up there, and especially with these features um, of black people, you know, and they hiding this from us, then it must be some type of truth to it. Why are you
Come on.
hiding it? Why are you distorting it? Why are you trying to remove all the
Yes.
contrast from all of this evidence? And the thing is that it's so important to understand that their interest in Mars is a lot different than what our interest should be. Our interest should be is that we are the original. We are the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet,
Come
God of
on.
the universe. We
That's right.
know that it's inhabited. We know these
Mm-hmm.
things. It's proof in the Egyptians' documentation. But see, they want to go there for when they first came up with sending the first, it wasn't even a rover. It was just a satellite that just
That's right.
orbited, that just wanted to take pictures. But now that they're sending these sophisticated devices there. Trust me, if they know the atmosphere of Mars, if they know the geological makeup of Mars, if they know the electromagnetic atmosphere, the temperature, all these things, the amount of gravity that's there, and they have these thermographic cameras now. Thermographic cameras pick up on the energy of
Mm.
living things, as where it picks up on heat, right? And they use these type of sophisticated cameras when they go into battlefield, when they go into war, so they can
That's right.
see the life
That's right.
signs of living life sounds people, uh, uh, um, um, and what's going on in the person's body. And sending these rovers to all types of planets. I mean, excuse me, to all parts of Mars. You don't think that they're sophisticated equipment have not picked up on living human beings there. Now, keep in mind, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad also said that we are more intelligent than than our family on Mars. You know, they don't have the type of technology or the intelligence that we have. So if the infrared cameras that's on these rovers can pick up on microorganisms. They can pick up on the energy of these volcanoes. Why cannot they cannot pick up on life human beings on Mars. I find that very, very antagonistic. I really do. Just I just know a little bit about science, and just think about it. How does that resonate with you? But the only way that you're going to get the complete reson the resonance from, you got to do your own research.
That ain't
But
using it right now,
the
Kyle.
whole
Okay.
the whole idea
All right. I'm
is
almost done.
is that they're trying to escape. They're
Go
trying
ahead.
to escape what's
Hmm.
here because they know their history and they know their fate
Go
better than
ahead.
some of us. So they trying to find a way to get to Mars, but they know
That's
that they
right.
can't live there. They know they can't live there because if, like, say if you go to Mars, and you step outside that spacesuit, you're only going to have a couple of minutes to live. Your whole body is going to explode, because the thing is that the gravity is different. The gravity will start stretching you. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's the atmosphere is thinner. So just think about, we was taught that the people on Mars are 9 feet tall. That's not, our bodies were never made to grow that way because the brain doesn't even have the system, the hormonal system to even support life like that. Because just think about it, you have some people that grow really, really tall, like the 8 feet, but that's considered a disease because they have these highly overactive metabolism and they don't live long because that's not the environment that the human body was made to reside in. So the whole idea is that, why even ask the question if it's life on Mars? Why did Almighty God teach Honorable Elijah Muhammad
That's
that
right.
they were life on Mars? They have a language. We was taught that Master Prophet Muhammad knows the language. He communicates with them. So it's very, very important to understand what question and answer number one is. That's the first question that he gave us in student enrollment. Who is the original man? He's the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet. God, but what are you the God? What are you the God
Come
over?
on.
What did you make? What did you make?
Right.
What are you the God over?
Good teaching.
So yes, sir. Yes, sir. So if there are any questions at the time, I will stop and take any questions. If
Mm.
there are any questions, starting from you or anyone else,
All praise is due to Allah. First of all, that was beautiful, dear sis. And we don't have any questions at this point. But I definitely greatly appreciate everything that you have shared because there's something about our people, the lost found Muslims in North America, black people who don't really realize and take this kind of information serious enough. We pitch for this and we pitch for that, but just like you went into lost found into the student enrollment, and I remember when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said something similar to what Sister just shared, the importance of the question and even the answers that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad had given. But the key was the questions in itself. Now, as we read, I'm sharing some information where it says whenever we are fully exposed to the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we are automatically confronted with a choice between two models of reality. And that's basically what we're dealing with at this point. This, as Sister said, and I've heard the minister say this over and over again, they are trying to escape into a world where they won't survive at all, literally won't survive. And the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said they'll get a peek, but they won't ever see this great civilization that is on Mars. Now they doing all this searching and all this other stuff, but the Most Honorable Muhammad said that they would never get to see that because our people, those who created it, won't allow them to see this great civilization that exists on Mars. But if we don't really realize the benefits of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught today by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, is the perfect example of what Master Farad Muhammad gave the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad to give us, because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is living it as he is providing it to us in the process of making us saviors of our people. So our people walk in a state of ignorance, as they say in Arabic, jahiliyyah, but it is us, the mere believer, the little brother and sister who may think they don't amount for anything, who may think that there's no value to them, wherein there's great value, because for those who don't know our sister, and listening to her wisdom, and all those we're sharing this on Facebook and Instagram, and there are people who are being exposed, for the few that listen. And even if they ain't listening now, you can rest assured at the end of the video will still be out there for those who may miss the live showing, to go back and just really go over and study what's being said. Because this mission in regards to life on Mars, and as Sister began her statement or her conversation, that the God taught the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad that there was life on all 9 planets, a life that we are not able to comprehend or understand. And then on Mars, the people on Mars is similar to us. Sister just described it: 9 feet to 12 feet tall, give or take, whatever the height is. But they're not like us, because they don't have what we have, and we don't have what they have. We can't live outside of this planet. I don't know whether or not they can live outside of that planet. It's beyond my knowledge. And I thank Allah for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan over and over and over again, because if not for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and I say this constantly on this podcast and on the program, there would be no way possible that I can sit here and say anything of value without the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I never met the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Definitely did meet the God himself, but I'm in my humble mind and experience, because I have been exposed to the Messiah. To me, I'm meeting them all in one. So they all wrapped up into one. That's the Messiah today, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who can't be taken for granted, or shouldn't be taken for granted, as we're going to. I heard somebody say to me, brother, why are you interested in talking about Mars? Like, with all this that's going on out here. And I said, dear brother, this is why we are so far behind now, because we don't get into the science of this medicine that we're being treated with. To me, this is like medicine, it's like an antidote that we're being treated. We don't get it. We get so frustrated and so caught up with this world, because Satan does just that. He comes from us in the front, the back, whatever, to keep us distracted. And as long as he can master that, then we're not focusing on the value. So this white man is smart though, because he knows he's in the depth of the oceans. He's out in the universe, space, or whatever. He's not wasting no time trying to do the best that he could to survive the Great War Armageddon, which he will not, right? But he's doing, while we're sitting here running around learning the new dance and all this other stuff that's going on now. They're spending their life and preparing the life for their next generation to try to survive a war that can't be avoided. And that's the war of righteousness against unrighteousness. And in this article that I'm reading out of the Final Call newspaper, and I'll say this, that the Final Call newspaper is and always has and always will be the number one program of the Nation of Islam. We have to keep that out in the forefront because if not for the Final Call newspaper, we wouldn't be able to get to our people, FOI and MGT, the way our people receive us when we come because they know we're not coming with some vain talk or anything like that. So I'm just learning from my sister because knowledge is power. And I'm not above saying from that last 32 minutes Sister spoke, I've learned more about Mars. And I don't even think about going to Mars no time soon. But I learned enough about it at this point, to study and learn more about the teachings of the Most High Muhammad. As a matter of fact, my sister reminds me, and I'm just keeping it 100, of Mother Tanetta.
Oh,
See, Mother
Lord.
Tanetta was. I'm just saying as a reminder, not saying that she is. Want to set the record straight. I know how black folk get. I know how we get. And he called her Mother Tanetta. No, Negro, I didn't say that. I'm telling
That's
you what
right.
she
That's right.
remind me
That's
of.
right.
I'm gonna checkmate you because I ain't got time to play with you. One thing we have to do, and we have to get out of the foolishness and accept each other and acknowledge each other and the value that we bring. Because all of us come in here, when we
Right.
come to the nation, we come in a certain condition. Some is worse than others. But we come in a certain condition and we come seeking knowledge and guidance. So once we come among each other and we start learning each other, we have to learn to love and respect what one has to offer. And then we hear the wisdom of God. Let's not be judgmental. Let's put all that foolishness behind because there's none perfect. We could pretend all we want, but look, the most Elijah Muhammad went as far as the third grade. He didn't even get to the fourth grade because he had to till the field. So just think about it. How can a man with a third grade education raise a nation of black men and women with what he said God taught him in person for 3 years and 4 months, then went away? Some of us got college degrees. We got all that stuff. We're just crazy, crazy as hell, and we know we are. But the messenger didn't have none of that. All he had was what? Supreme wisdom and whatever else Master Farah Muhammad gave him. He believed in it and he has taught for over 40 some odd years. I stand to be corrected, but I know it's in that diameter. And then he had to go and prepare the new book, which the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is going to bring back. Many of us say the minister is going to die. I don't believe in that foolishness. I believe that he has to go and do what he has to do and return with the new book. There will be a new book. But this science right here, bear with me for a second, family. This science right here about Mars, just think about what we're talking about and how very important it is because it elevates one to a whole nother level of consciousness, a whole nother level of studying, and this seemed easy. And especially when you in the world of Satan and dealing in his social equality and all the roadblocks that he put in our way to make things difficult for us to be able to succeed on this journey. So I thank Allah for my brother Lionel Muhammad and his wife. Brother put some questions up here, and I'm gonna
Yes.
read. If you're mind, I'm gonna read these questions. I saw him. He loaded us up. I think he was sitting back there putting it together while our sister was doing her thing. But let me see the first one. I think. Wait a minute. Yep, it's Why do you think that the enemy is so afraid to tell the world the truth about blacks in Mars? That's an open. That's open to the floor.
Well, um, why has the Caucasian robbed us of the knowledge of ourselves? Why has he done that?
Mm,
Because we have to understand the nature in which he was made. He was made to deceive. He was made to, like, for instance, when we were taught that he was given we was taught that there are 3,700,000 books in the Library of Cairo, Egypt. We was told that 60,000 of those books had or have 4 subjects. It had mathematics, science, some other life sciences, and language. We gave him one of the books. We gave him one of the books so that he can do what? Master, control, and trick the black man. So we have to understand the dynamics of this thing. He was not made to teach us the truth. How could he do that and master us and rule us at the same time? So the thing is that when he taught us while we were black. We're black because we're cursed. You know, he's
Mm-hmm.
white, he's superior, he's angelic, he's divine. So when you understand the nature of this type of being, knows that I said being, I didn't say human being,
Go ahead.
being that you understand when you understand the nature of something, you know what to expect for them. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not in his nature to tell us the truth. We don't have to worry about that. But we know that that was a part of Allah's divine plan because
Right.
he said that he would come himself and
That's
he
right.
would meet and teach one,
Come on.
raise one, and he would teach them face to face. Remember, he said he was coming in scripture. He was coming to the people and he was going to raise one and teach him all things, and not just all things, things that people never heard before. That's not really clearly in the books, the Bible, the Quran. Everything is not in the Bible and Holy Quran.
That's right.
So, but someone was born on this earth who perfected everything. That's why it says in the Quran, on this day I have perfected Islam for you. So that means that prior to his coming, it wasn't perfect.
That's
Okay,
right.
so the point that I'm saying is that now he came to teach us about our black selves, the origin of blackness, the origin of the universe. So now that we have the truth and we have scientific proof, not only from him, but now we're getting the scientific proof from our natural enemy,
That's right.
right? We know that the people on Mars or any of the planets cannot be white because these planets were here for trillions and trillions of years ago. You have a man on this planet has only been given less than 7,000 years. He's been on this planet, what is it, 6,600 years, a little
Mm,
more than that. So
mm.
he's a new person, and he's behaving like he's a new person. When he the way he names his rovers, perseverance, curiosity, ingenuity. What is he curious about? He's a
That's
new
right.
man on this planet, and it's people on this planet that has been carrying this type of wisdom for millions and trillions of years, just passing it down to the people. But God said He did not want it to be revealed to a certain time. So now we're dealing with the facts of the matter. He's even proven the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad through Master Prophet Muhammad. He cannot, people on Mars cannot be white, cannot be white, because how could they even produce black? Just go into the genetics of it. There's nowhere in the world that a white person can produce somebody black unless
Come
there
on.
is a black allele that's somehow
That's right.
intertwined and coded in the genetic pool. But that's not normal. That's not normal. But the point of that tells you how powerful the black man and black woman is. We can give color to all the different
Come on.
spectrums all
That's
the way
right.
to him, but it's impossible through the science and mathematics of genes that he can do that on his own. He would have to have mixed with us genetically someone in the past in order to do that.
Yes, ma'am. I
So,
want to say, no, go ahead,
sure.
sis.
No,
I
no, go
want
ahead,
to,
sir.
I want to say this to whoever's listening. All of you out there in the Nation of Islam with them podcasters, you better come and get my sister. Y'all listening to what I'm saying, right? Because in real, I go back to what I said again. Um, when Allah gives us talents and gifts, we have to learn to utilize that which Allah gives us. Because I know it's hard for some of us to have to sit and humble ourselves to one who we think is less than ourselves, right? They said to Jesus, how can he without letters be learned, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, Jesus' response was whatever it was, but in reality was just trying to say he wasn't qualified. But Allah provides and gives us what he wants, and you can tell that he has blessed and is blessing our sister with great wisdom that can
Praise the Lord.
enhance the believers, not only the believers, but the black folks that y'all talk to all the day, every day about Kendrick Lamar and all this other stuff. Let's talk about what the messenger want us to talk about. Let's talk about what's going to be more valuable to us. Now, the question that the brother answered, I'm going to go to the next question. I just want to chime in and say, real briefly, this Caucasian knows who we are.
That's
It's
right.
that we don't know who we are.
That's right.
Brother
Mm-hmm.
Lionel said, why do you think the enemy is so afraid to tell the world the truth about blacks and Mars? Because that will give blacks on earth a dominant mind.
Mm-hmm.
Wherein in reality, we are the dominant. Sister just broke it down like clearly, right? Everything came from the blood. There's no white people on Mars. How would you even, how would they, how would you make them on Mars? So we know that there was a time when they didn't exist on Earth, and ultimately they here without going, like sister said, without going through the whole shenanigan of how they got here. They here, and they have been ruling for over 6,000 or six. What is it, 6,000 or 600? But they've been ruling um for an extensive period of time. They rule been up. But the reason why they're still in control is because our lack of knowledge and love for self. And this is why they are dominant and ruling the world as they think they are. Question number two, what books would you recommend for a person who would like to learn more about this subject? The floor is open.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't start no other place than the books of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because he's the only one that teaches the origin of the black man. And why is that important? Because he got it out of the mouth of God himself.
That's right.
And also, it's so important as a believing person, and you want to strengthen your support system and you want to grow into becoming your scientific self,
Mm,
you have to go outside and get and do the research. You have to do that because we are students. How are you going to grow into a god if you don't go and study vast amount of subjects? Study Master Muhammad. He went to various universities. He studied for 42 years.
that's
What did
right.
he study? He studied the universal life sciences. Look how God started him off. He started him off. He took him from his father, from his mother, when he was a little baby. He started traveling all over the world, paying large amounts of money from different walks of life to teach his son.
Mm-hmm.
We have to follow that same pattern. But
That's
guess
right.
what? It's already been laid. Only
That's
thing
right.
we have to do is just nourish. I'm not trying to be vulgar, but Allah is Rabbi Alameen. We just have to nourish from that big universal breast so that we can
Mm-hmm.
grow into the gods that we are destined to be.
That's right.
He came to give us a universal knowledge. At some point, we're gonna grow. We're gonna grow beyond our initial point, starting from the originator, his realm of knowledge. Then something happened after that 62 trillion year period up into the 15,000 year when God did what he needed to do as far as his evolutionary growth process to perfect himself. How did he do that? By studying himself, studying the originator, studying creation for what?
That's
To
right.
perfect it. We have to study that same pattern. So we got to start from the books of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because
That's right.
if we believe that he was taught by Almighty God Allah, there
That's
is
right.
no other starting point. There is no other point of origin to start from. So I recommend we starting with a very strong base, the word, the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and just reaching out in such a way, just seeking knowledge to try to connect the dots. Because
That's right.
we have to be able to teach our people in a universal language. You understand what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
you can't do that if you don't start from a basic point of view,
That's right.
a point of understanding. So there's a lot of overwhelming evidence out there to
Go
support
ahead.
not just life on Mars. You understand what I'm saying? It's
Right.
everything that we're taught. The Caucasian is bearing
Hmm.
witness to. But if you're not studying and you're not
That's right.
going out to get the information, then you're going to always be disconnected.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
understand? So that is my answer. I hope that answers
Hmm.
you.
Oh, beautiful. Because I would have said I am going to say the same exact thing. One of the great books. There's so many books the messenger has put out is Theology of Time. Um,
Yes.
Something to when I now I don't want. I'm not saying read it, study it. That means you have to go buy yourself a couple of notebooks and
Hmm.
dot down and really get into that book, Theology of Time, and the various different books the messenger has put out, and the wisdom that the honorable minister Louis Farrakhan is putting out today. We have to wrap ourselves in the bosom of God, as sister was saying, and absorb the wisdom and the words that's coming from the righteous among the believers. And that would be my answer. As sister said, I'm not even going no further. Yeah, I know other people put stuff out, yada yada yada. I got you. We respect your work. We're not throwing your work away. But look, God spoke with the messenger of Allah. He didn't speak to me. He didn't speak to you. He didn't taught you and me. He, God Himself, taught the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And to prove that he said he was God, and the scripture says, when I come, I will give you the measurements of the earth. Did he not do that?
Go
He
ahead.
gave us the measurements of the earth, proving who he was. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said he would give X amount of, I think it was $10,000 to anybody that could prove what he has taught was incorrect.
Right.
And no one has been able to do that as of yet, right? So that tells you God made himself known when he came to Black Bottom, Detroit, in 1930, though he was in and out of America before he made himself known, traveling and doing business, and nobody knew. This is why they say you never know when an angel is present, because you just don't know when God has sent an angel in your direction or in our direction. The next question, brother Doc, was when and where. I don't know who this one's geared to,
Brother
but I'm gonna, yes,
Albert,
ma'am.
could we
Yes,
skip
ma'am.
that question and go to the last question, because
I,
that question is more sort towards conclusion and
okay.
closing out. So if you can just, because we need to get back to the subject of Mars, so I think this would really redirect us back
Yes.
to the
Yes,
subject of
ma'am.
Mars. If you're pleased with that, sir.
Oh, absolutely. I was thinking about it, but I was thinking about jumping it. But good point. Um, the the question behind that one was, as Sister said, was more interesting, and that is, what do people on Mars eat that make them live longer than we on Earth? Now, I definitely don't know what that is. The floor open.
Okay, okay. Now let me just, and you asked the question. I don't know if it was a statement or a question, but I want to deal with your question first, Brother Albert. Then I'll
Yes,
get to that
ma'am.
real quick. You had said that You didn't know if the people on Mars can live outside of their planet.
Oh, right.
You know the
Yes,
meaning of
ma'am.
that? The
Yes,
answer
ma'am.
to that, it's a very simple answer to it. Now, we know that we cannot live on their planet, right? Because we
Yes,
have a different chemical makeup, the
that's
human
right.
body, the planet, the atmosphere, right?
That's right.
So if our bodies were made to breathe a certain amount of nitrogen, 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, because this came with the total creation of Allah creating himself out of total triple darkness. It came with the way that he designed the planet. He had to design the planet to support life, right? So that means that he had to make the anatomy and physiology of himself to be made of the same type of elements that's
Go
on
ahead.
earth, right?
That's
Be
right.
able to eat the same foods or drink the same water or drink the same, breathe the same air that the human body is made up of, right?
Right.
Right. And also, he had to create a certain type of electrical fields that would help the brain and the heart oscillate, right?
Mm.
Now, just think about the people on Mars. The people on Mars could not live here. They could not live on any other planet. Why? Because when we made them, we made them and the planet, we made them as a unit that can coexist together because they made up of the same elements,
Right.
different atomic rearrangement. Like, say, for
Yes.
instance, let me give you a quick example of what I'm talking about. You know the chemistry of water, right?
Right.
What is that? H2O, right?
H2O.
Now, if I took the same elements and I rearranged them and I added on a similar element, say H2O2.
Okay.
H2O2 is hydrogen peroxide. Can you
Right.
drink that and live?
I don't think so.
No, but the elements are the same, but
Right.
they are arranged differently. So when you arrange something differently, it has a different structure and function. Okay. And
Mm.
that's the reason why people from, no matter what planet they may be from or life on other planets, we cannot, because the chemistry of the living being has to be the same chemistry, made up the same chemical elements to support that life. I hope I'm making sense.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Now to
Absolutely.
get back to, did I cut you off? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, 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 sister, I'm enjoying this.
Oh, okay. Praise and speak to Allah.
Yes, ma'am.
Praise and speak to Allah. Now to go, okay, what do people on Mars eat that make them live longer than we on Earth? Okay. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the human body was made, it's a two-part question. The human body was created to eat fruits and vegetables. When you look at because we are organic beings, right? So
Mm.
when Allah created us to be start with himself to be organic human beings, what makes something organic that it must have carbon in it. Okay? Carbon is considered the black atom. So that means that everything that we eat, it must support that blackness that's inside of the nucleus of the cell. When you look at a nucleus of a cell, you find that is melanin inside of it. And that's
Mm.
the driving force and all of the cellular chemistry, the driving force, whether it's going to make protein, how long it's going to live, if it's going to make calcium, if it's going to get rid of toxins, it's going to bring what is controlled by that nucleus, which is called melanin. And that's interesting because the nucleus means new sun. Okay, so that's
Mm.
the driving force that gives all the energy and kinetics in the cell. Now, we already talked about that these were black beings, right? On Mars, right? And all on all of the planets, you know, um, specifically Venus and Mars, he talked about. Now, the only thing that's going to support the melanin, the blackness, that carbon, that black atom is something called chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is the first cousin to melanin, and what it does, it keeps the life cycle of the melanin going.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
so you get the highest how can I mileage, biological mileage out of eating fruits and vegetables. Why? Because it's very similar to that carbon atom, that melanin. So that's one thing. So I believe that the people on Mars are vegetarians because of
Okay.
that. Number two is that it's going to depend on how long the days are. Now, if, like, say, let me give you a good example. We was taught that probably maybe before the great explosion, took place over 66 trillion years ago, that we had a 35-hour day. Why did we have a 35-hour day? Because the
Mm,
circumference of the planet at that time was 35,000 miles. So
that's
that
right.
meant that we had longer years. So longer years mean longer life, right? You following me?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So once upon a time, we lived longer years
Mm,
because the we had a longer rotation, excuse me, a longer revolutionary orbit around the sun.
mm,
Okay, now when you think about the people on Mars, they have longer days,
that's right.
right? And they eat according to their nature. They eat according to their nature. So, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that they're very satisfied with the nature that we gave them.
Go ahead.
On the other hand, we are so arrogant, in
Mm,
other words, that he was saying that we know everything.
that's right.
We too busy experimenting with things, and at the same time, very destructive or very antagonistic to nature. So anytime something goes against nature, what are you doing? You're shortening the life cycle.
That's right.
Okay, so the answer to your question is that I believe that the people on Mars are vegetarians because the only thing that can support life and give it its natural biological or biochemical longevity is plant life. And also, every cell in the body has the blackness in it as far as the nucleus, and it vibrates at a certain frequency. Like, say,
Mm,
if the cell, say, and it depends on the type of cell it is. Like, say, let's say like a brain cell, right? A brain cell, just give it a number. Say if a brain cell oscillates at 8.7 millihertz, the plant life is going to oscillate at that
right.
same frequency or a little less.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? Because
Right,
it was
right.
made to support life. Anything other than that is going to oscillate on a lesser frequency and pull the life out of the cells. Like, for instance, meat. When we started eating the meats, we started what? Developing diseases, and we started
Everything.
interfering with that natural life cycle of that cell that was made. The human body was made to live up to 1,000 years. You
That's
understand
right.
what I'm saying? But we were
Go
always,
ahead.
like he said, they live according to their nature. So they're natural vegetarians. Okay. And plus, they have a longer revolution around the sun. They have longer days. Remember, they have a 1.8 days to our one revolution around the sun.
Right.
So those are the two important contributing factors on why they live the life that they live, which is what we went into 638 days and one third year. Okay,
Mm,
that's the precise calculate. Do the calculations on your own, you know, because I don't want to just put stuff out there and not be able to prove it scientifically. I wish I was able to do a PowerPoint so I can show the people, the mathematics and science behind what I'm saying. But if you're interested, and I am inciting you to do your own research, I think you'll find that you'll be able to come up with your own um, um, hypothesis and do your own type of scientific method, and you'll be able to mimic some of the things I Allah blessed me to mimic. So I
Oh,
hope that answers your question,
oh,
sir.
yes, man. All praises due to Allah. Tell us, so to break it down in layman's terms, eat vegetables.
Sorry.
Eat your fruit and vegetables. Now, Brother Lionel Muhammad, big bro, you have to say something to it. It's been an hour and 10 minutes, and you've been too quiet, brother. How would you like? Come on, brother. You got to tell us what. Have you been to Mars, brother? Talk to us, brother. Come on.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Praise be to Allah. This was like a beautiful day on the beach.
Yes,
Just
sir.
li- just listening to my darling wife
Allahu
speak the
Akbar.
truth,
That's right, brother.
Don't make me
the,
blush. Please don't.
the truth of the life-giving teachings,
There you go.
and and she speaks it so directly as if you
Yes.
was actually
Yes.
reading a book. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And a lot of times we be like parrots. We can read the book, but we can't put it in our own language.
Come on now.
You know what I mean? And so it's a beautiful thing that she has that ability to do that. And
That's
if you
right.
notice, she don't use a whole lot of notes.
Mm.
Now, I'm studying like a librarian,
Go ahead.
but she don't use a whole lot of notes, yet she's coming out the books that I'm trying
That's
to get an understanding with.
that's
So
right.
God gives different people different gifts,
That's
and
right.
this is not an opportune time to be, envy or jealous of our person or our people. We need to join together.
That's right.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said our unity is the key to our success.
That's right.
Everyone else can be unified except us. I want to just say one more thing too, and I want to thank you, my brother, for allowing my family on your program.
Yes, sir.
I want to, we are humbled by this opportunity. We don't take what you do lightly. This life giving teachings got to go to every nook, crank, and corner of the universe of the planet Earth. You know what I mean? Because our people are starving. As we stand here now, or sit here now on this podcast, our people are dying in the streets. And they're not dying because of this or that. We have the
Mm.
money, but they're dying because of a lack of knowledge.
That's right.
The minister said, people with no vision, they perish. You know.
Hmm.
And one more thing I like to say, again, I want to thank my darling wife. She's just beautiful, straight up, man. I can't front. She's beautiful inside and out. So I'm so grateful
Oh,
and
praise
thankful,
be to Allah for Elijah Muhammad, Master Muhammad. That's all I can say.
Hmm.
and I feel so blessed. But I real quickly want to make sure I do this one thing. I want to thank the Honorable Minister Farrakhan for giving us all a platform.
That's right, brother.
For giving us all the opportunity to share what is the truth. We went to the mall today and they asked the question, what is more important to you than you out here coming to learn more of the life-giving teachings? Why wouldn't you come to a study group? They're not charging you money to get in.
Go
Why
ahead.
wouldn't you come to FOI class?
That's
Why
right.
wouldn't you read the Final Call newspaper? Like Sister was saying, this is the life-giving teachings. Without this teachings, we are just absolutely dead.
Mm.
Honorable Mrs. Farragut, and real quick, and I close with this. He said, life is like a vapor. One minute you're here, and the next minute you're gone.
That's right.
So we have to take the opportunity that God has given us now to make something out of the time that God has blessed you with.
That's right.
And don't take it for granted.
Come on now.
So that's why I'm so happy here because I am blessed to be married to a sister like that who just
Mm.
dropped the life-giving teachings from the voice inner heart of the Honorable
That's
Mr.
right.
Farrakhan to all of the world.
I
So
bear
if
witness.
she getting blessings from doing all that, I might
Mm.
get a little iota or something if I just rub elbows with it. And I'm grateful and
Right.
I'm
That's
thankful.
right.
But I'm really so thankful to the Honorable Miss Louis Farrakhan. You got to ask yourself, where would we be without that man?
That's right.
You're right about
Where would
that.
we be? Praise be to
Hmm.
Allah. So I'm thankful and grateful, brother. And I go back on mute, brother, where I belong. Assalamu alaikum.
Well,
I
like,
just have one more thing to say because
hmm,
I know it is time for us to bring this to a closure. Um, like Brother Albert, you keep stimulating me. Let me to you're asking questions in an indirect way. But I think it's really important because you just asked my husband, has he ever been to Mars? And there is a way that we can go to Mars. But how are we going
Yeah.
to go to Mars if we don't know anything about Mars?
Right.
Why would we even want to go to Mars? How can we go to Mars if we don't understand
That's right.
there's a connection between? It's
Come
something
on.
we would have to have a reason to want to go there. We would have to have
That's right.
a point of origin, understand the port of origin and the destination and what's in between all of that. And what I'm talking about astro projection. And we was taught that Allah is so powerful. There is no none like him
That's right.
from the originator of the heavens and the earth up until now, that he's so powerful that he can be in more than one place at the
That's
same
right.
time. So it's something in our lessons. Maybe you can help me. Um, it asks the question about traveling to other planets and how long will it take you to get there. And I think it talks about something about seconds. Are you with me?
That's in the
Are
plus
you
lesson.
familiar with that?
That's in the back of the book. Yes, ma'am.
Right, right. So at least
Yes,
you're
ma'am.
familiar with what I'm talking about.
Oh,
The only
absolutely.
way you
Yes,
would be
ma'am.
able to do that,
Right, right.
you will only be able to do that in the form of astral projection,
Come on.
right? So,
Go
and see,
ahead.
that's why it's so important
Mm.
for us to know who we are
Come on.
universally, to
Good
understand
teaching.
the point of origin, what's in between it, and the destination.
That's
And when I
right.
say destination, there is no end to the universe. So we can travel all around the
Come on.
universe and don't have to be in some type of contraption.
That's right.
Why? Because we put it there.
Mm.
So we have a universal connection to it, that we can travel back and forth to Mars and any other planet anytime we want to,
That's right.
because we know it's every nook and cranny of it because we put it out there. Did Master Muhammad actually physically go to Mars to learn their language and to see what they anatomically or structurally look like? Did he have to go there physically? No, he did
No,
not.
no, no,
He
ma'am. Go
knows
ahead.
how to astral project.
That's right.
Okay. And we have to learn how to, and what you call it tele, telepathic, telepathy.
Hmm. Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
You on it. You on it, sis. Go ahead.
we talking about telepathy, telepathy, and not only
Hmm.
telepathy, um, um, being able to understand that there is some kinetic energy going on, meaning that we can actually send a thought, send a
Hmm.
thought there, telecommit through telekinetic energy,
Yeah. Right.
and actually see and communicate with the people on Mars. Why do I say that? Because I believe in everything that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches. And I believe that I'm going to get to a point that
Come
I will
on.
be able to prove it by just using basic science and mathematics. I
Oh,
believe that,
praise to Allah.
I hope and pray that Allah
Hmm.
would bless me to learn enough in my lifetime, and to share it with people,
Come
and
on.
we can just interconnect and share information in such a way, that I will be able to interconnect with any type of life frequencies that's in the galaxies, is in the universe. And Elijah Muhammad said that we will be able to get back to doing that if we have a
Mm.
clean heart.
That's right.
That's what he
Come on.
says. We got to have a clean heart, because this
Allahu
is where
Akbar.
it's transmitting from. Because
Go
the
ahead.
heart has its own its own brain tissue that it communicates. It is a vehicle of a communication as it gives information and it receives information. And that
Mm-hmm.
can be proven is all in the Quran as well. So when you said that, have he been to Mars? I was like, wow, that's interesting because we can go to Mars anytime we want to
All praises due to
if we
Allah.
understand. If we
That's right.
understand,
Oh,
you
all
know.
praises. What did I tell you at the very beginning, sis? Once that energy start flowing, we at an
Yeah.
hour and 20 minutes,
Oh
and
yeah.
that
That's
but you know what it
already
is?
happened. So
That's the
praise
nature.
Allah.
That's the nature of the gods. I wanted to say that when your husband was acknowledging your gift in the Quran, it says Allah, he who Allah giveth, no man can taketh, and
Mm,
he who Allah taketh away, no man can give. See, and this is why we get brothers and sisters like yourself who can actually come and drop a jewel, my language now, and don't need no paper, because when you study enough and you study the right things, it's naturally in you. So it just naturally flows. You ever heard the minister say, well, I come to say this, but now I'm over here? Because that's the nature of the God in him. It causes him, so he doesn't even come with paperwork no more. He used to bring a book or two here, because when Allah blesses you, it just flows naturally. And that's why we don't believe in no mystery God. And something you said earlier was so interesting about knowing yourself and knowing that we have a connect with the people on Mars
yes, we
that
do.
would make it possible for us to go visit Mars and survive.
That's right.
And unlike the any other ethnic group who don't have that original germ that Yakub used to create devil or the white race, etc.,
Right.
etc.
Right.
And so I want to thank Allah over and over again, as Brother Lionel said, for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan
That's right.
and all that the minister has and continues to do for the salvation of black people. And as he said, there was a time and he spoke. I can never forget this. It was weeks before Savior's Day that year when he was in the hospital, and they all thought he was gone that day. And they said the family surrounded him and they was talking to him, and all he kept asking them, how's the believers? Here, here, here's a man, according to the information, that was supposed to be on his deathbed at that point. But he wasn't worried about none of that. He's worried about the believers. So
Mm,
in our hearts and our minds, we should work hard to see to it that the name Farrakhan is forever, because it's not about worshiping Minister Farrakhan, because in him you have the Father and the Son and the Spirit. It's all in the minister. You have Master Farah Muhammad, you have the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, what makes it possible. I never met you other than just meeting you through your husband, and it's like I knew you for the last 30 years. And that's
oh,
just
praise
the
God. Yes,
magnitude of the God and
yes,
the work of the God that makes things come together, and everything happens for a reason. So I'm not gonna belabor the point. We're at 1 hour and 23 minutes. Want to thank before I close. I want to thank Allah for our beloved sister and my beloved brother, Brother Lionel and his wife, for visiting us again on the Let Us Make Man family program, dealing with the topic, is there human life on Mars? And this is important because it goes into the science of the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. So it's not a wasted conversation to the person that asks me, why do I want to talk about that? This is going into the science and the elevation of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teachings, as Mother Tanetta talked about the number 7. Oh, pardon me, 19. Let me correct that. the number 19, and how she went into the elevation of the number 19. But she wouldn't have been able to do that if not being close to the messenger of Allah, her husband, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. But what's my point? The point I'm making is the science and the teachers of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is that important in this day and hour. See, we can't keep up with the minister because he's already been through it. And this is why he's trying to guide us into becoming saviors. Brother Lionel mentioned it earlier. We have to make our FOI class for the brothers and sisters in the ranks. We have to make our MGT and GCC class.
Sir. Yes,
Don't
sir.
think that you're just going there wasting time. If you think like that, then you better get that out of your head and stay your behind home, because then you make everybody else miserable, right? That's God's class. That was set up by
That's
Master
right.
Farah Muhammad.
Right.
So
That's right.
we have to be in our classes, absorbing and pushing the leadership. Hell, get on their nerve if they ain't acting right. We got to do
Right.
what we got to do. I mean,
Right.
people get in their feelings. Why you think we got study guide? Rise above emotions into the thick of the God, building the will, overcoming difficulties.
That's
All
right.
this stuff we have to work with to settle any differences that we have. Dear sister, I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I don't know if Brother Lionel's still, he probably still around. Um, but Lionel, I thank you as well. Big brother, me and you go way back, and
Sure.
I ain't told none of our stories yet. I keep that, our stories.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna just say this. I'm gonna say this. I gotta say this. At some point, I gave that man hell, but I didn't realize that he was really just letting me hit the damn wall. Because as a brother, sometimes you gotta let somebody run into the wall. If they hit it hard enough, they'll wake up eventually. And so, thanking Brother Lionel for so many different reasons and staying on this journey. And I'm still on it, even though I'm not in Jersey no more. But because of our experience and our work, our efforts in the city of Patterson, New Jersey, and all that we went through, we as far as the work, I'm just talking the work. What I mean, we persevered. We still here, still on. Hey, still here. And that's my brother. I love you, but I don't say it just to be saying, I'm a rider. I'm here. You already know that. So it is what it is. You don't have to say that. That's Governor Street. That's Governor Street. That's G Street. You don't have to say that. I see you
Yes,
smiling.
sir. Yes,
I'm gonna
sir.
if you guys have any closing words, feel free. If not, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here.
Yes, sir. I just want to thank you,
Yes,
um,
ma'am.
Brother Albert, for choosing me to be on your podcast because you really don't know me. So I want to thank you for trusting whatever my husband said to you that made you, with the help of Allah, to make a decision if I was qualified or trustworthy enough to enhance your show because you really don't know anything about me. You didn't know anything about me as far as what type of credentials I have in the Nation of Islam. And I want to thank Allah um, for you choosing me, seeing something in me that was valuable enough for you to bring on your show. And I thank a lot for you. I have a lot of respect for what you're doing. I think you're very knowledgeable. I want to thank you for having respect for the Black woman. I want to thank you for being, from what I can see so far, the very exemplifying FOI. I would really love the opportunities to get to know your wife and to meet her. Even we can take a trip out there to visit, whatever. I would really,
Inshallah.
really appreciate that, inshallah. But I just want to thank you, and I'm very humble and honored that you would even want to invite me back on your show for the second time. And I'm grateful to Allah for you, sir. May Allah continue to bless you with what you do and bless you and your family with a lot of success, longevity, and peace and happiness.
Yes, ma'am. But Lionel, anything closing?
No, sir. She said it all. Thank you.
All
Assalamu
praise investment. Oh, with that being said, I thank all both of y'all. We're gonna go ahead and close out. Once again, may Allah continue to bless you and the family. And inshallah, sister, brother, I'll be coming back at y'all. Something gonna come up. I'm gonna be calling y'all, so don't get comfortable.
We're here, brother. We're
Yes,
here.
man.
All right.
Assalamu alaikum,
Thank you
family.
so much. Walaikum salam.
Yeah.